greed blinds us. Greed makes us foolish. And if we're not careful, it could destroy us. Now, I define greed as the selfish desire for more. I think it's driven by the assumption that more stuff brings more happiness. Now, of course, we know better, but who among us doesn't struggle with that sense of, if I just had a little more, then my life would be a little richer? The wit once wrote, "One should not love money, of that I have no doubt. But I am just as sure being poor is no cure, so I'd rather be with than without." Isn't it true? That's why Mark Twain said, the love of money is not the root of all kinds of evil. The lack of money is the root of all kinds of evil. I read a Wall Street Journal story recently where it said people's happiness with their pay is strongly connected with what they believe the pay is for people around them. In other words, how can I be happy as long as the people around me are making more than I am? It's that old keeping up with the Joneses thing, right? We know you can't keep up with the Joneses. We know that the Joneses can't keep up with their own payments. And yet there's this part of us that thinks that we can just keep up with them. A 2018 study asked millionaires, how much more do you need? Slightly over half of those with a net worth of $10 million or more answered the question. They could be happy, they believe, if their wealth increased by at least, what do you think, 5%, 10%, 20%, at least 50%. Affirming for us what Socrates observed when he said, "He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he wants to have." Knowing this part of our human nature, Jesus told this parable that we just read a few moments ago, where he warned, watch out and be on guard against all greed, because one's life is not in the abundance of his possessions. More stuff does not equal more happiness. But you know what does equal more happiness? More generosity. Living like Christ. Jesus taught it in parables like this, but he also lived it. You know, Jesus was the one who came and said, "I did not come to be served, but to serve and to give for others." But I'm not sure if there's a greater challenge that we face than the challenge of the flies and the honey. We know better, and yet like those flies, we find ourselves drawn to the idea, if I could just get more stuff. How is it that we keep from getting stuck in this lust for more? How is it that we can become more like Christ, who, even though he was rich, yet for your sakes and mine became poor, so that we through his poverty might become rich?